And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Alix Steel. We're counting you down to the closing bell. And here to help take us beyond the bell, it's a global simulcast with our friends Massar and Tim Stenovec as we welcome our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms. That includes television, radio, and our audience on YouTube. Carol,
yes.
On a day where it looked like the equity markets were going to stage a pretty decent rally on the back of those NVIDIA earnings, but that faded pretty quickly in the day here. Broader concerns right now about inflationary pressures.
Yeah, some hotter than expected, right? Manufacturing data here in the United States, and then everybody starts to get a little bit worried. Certainly, we also got weekly jobless claims, but some concerns that maybe things are still continuing to be a little bit hotter than everybody forecast. And so what does that mean? Maybe we don't get a rate cut anytime soon. Maybe not even this year.
Can you believe how far we've come in just a few months? I mean, at the beginning of the year, at the end of last year, we were talking 5-6 rate cuts. And now we see markets move like this on a day when, okay, people reset their rate cut expectations from maybe from November to December for one cut this year. Or maybe, Alix, none at all.
It was so thoughtful. Like, can we think about where we've come? I can't remember yesterday, so I don't know what that's about. But and Romaine and I were just talking about before too. Like, what is the next catalyst then? Like, you get Memorial Day, it's the summer. You know, volume's going to go down. You get Jobs Day on June 7th. Like, is it just going to be hang tight? See you in a couple weeks because there isn't anything else to move the market.
9 days to the blackout.
What about the
9
next
days
Fed
to the
meeting?
blackout.
Yeah.
I keep counting down. I'm
June
looking
12th?
for something.
I don't know.
Oh, blackout for the Fed speak?
Yeah, she has
I see. Okay.
She has a
okay.
count.
Yeah,
That's
I was a
how
little confused, too.
I
I was
make
like,
fun of her
does
because
Carol
she has
know
a
something we
countdown.
don't?
She
Are
has
the
a
utilities
countdown.
cutting power?
So Carol,
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Carol Thanos Massar there, apparently predicting the end of the Earth. But nevertheless, Earth continues to rotate. Although stocks not necessarily along for the ride, at least not for this particular day. Let's start with the S&P 500, a drop of about 0.7% or 39 points here on the day. You had a similar move lower on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ Composite down about 0.4%. The NASDAQ 100 down about 0.4% as well. Again, the ballast that we got from NVIDIA just not enough to really overcome the huge drag that we got elsewhere, particularly in the cyclical space. You saw that in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, lower by more than 600 points or 1.5% today. You saw that in Dow Transports, lower by 186 points or 1.2%. And you saw that in the Russell 2000, Carol, down 33 points or about 1.6%.
Yeah, the equity tone very clear on this Thursday, folks. S&P 500, most names in the index losing ground today. 449 names to the downside. Tim, 54 to the upside. So definitely a risk-off trade here.
Still getting earnings. Watching shares of Intuit, the company raising its fiscal year guidance. Third quarter net revenue coming in above estimates at $6.74 billion. Estimates were for $6.64 billion. Third quarter adjusted EPS coming in at $9.88, beating estimates of $9.38. Shares moving lower, though, in the after hours, down by 2.3%.
Also looking at Ross Stores here. So first quarter earnings coming in at $1.46 a share. That looks to have beat estimates. That was about 1.35. So was waiting for some more numbers to come by in here. But Ross Stores looks on an earnings level to have beat that stock just starting to trade in after hours. What else I got? Sales were up by about 8%, beating estimates. And you got merchandise inventories were up by about 10%. So relatively strong quarter, it looks like.
Yeah, and looks like inventories, while they are elevated, maybe that's sort of the setup for the season. Margins were up, as was store count. And it raises a lot of questions here about the complexion of the retail space right now, that sort of dichotomy between what's going on in the luxury space and what's going on the more affordable space at locations like Ross.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some commentary and context here coming from our team. Earnings per share for the second quarter projected to be in the range of $1.43 to $1.49, up from reported earnings per share of $1.32 for the prior year period ended July 29, 2023. The CEO weighing in, though we had hoped to do better, first quarter sales were in line with guidance despite macroeconomic headwinds that continue to pressure our customers' discretionary spending, which is something, Romaine, you were just talking about.
I do want to get back to shares of Intuit because they are moving lower in the after hours, despite the fact that the company raised the fiscal year guidance. It does see fiscal year adjusted earnings per share of $16.79 to $16.79 $16.79 to $16.84. That came in above estimates of $16.42. Sees fourth quarter revenue about 13 to 14%. It also sees small business self-employment revenue up about 18%, but shares now down about 3.3%.
Yeah, it's interesting as you bring that up. I was just looking at Workday, the big application software maker, also reporting, and it was kind of a similar complexion as Intuit in that the numbers themselves weren't all that bad, Tim, but the shares are moving lower here in after-hours trading. So it seems like this is an issue, too, of not just about meeting expectations. You really got to beat, and you really got to beat big in this environment to get the extra pop in that stock, given how much valuations have risen.
Yeah, it looks also, though, that the small business and self-employed group, though, did really well, up 18%. Their consumer group was up 9%. But to your point, you really got to deliver if you're going to do really well on that. I also want to point out here, guys, that Boeing shares fell about 7.6% today, the biggest drop in about 4 months. So it's not just earnings that are coming through. It's also some individual company stories that are really weighing on that after their cash burn is going to be intense.
Yeah, I mean, the Boeing story is a big one, right? And that's exactly what weighed on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So, yeah, we definitely saw that play out in a big way. Quick check on gainers, guys. NVIDIA. Surprise! Top in the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, pretty much holding on to most of the day's gains. At its highs up almost 12%, finishing, though, with a 9.3% gain. We know the story, topping $1,000 a share, up, I think, 109, 111%. The bullish sales forecast showing that AI computing spending remains strong. So that second quarter revenue will be about $28 billion, topping the $26.8 billion predicted by analysts. 10-for-1 stock split, the 150% boost in its dividend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, did you
That's
know?
pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So what happens? Does that mean that
you gotta
the share price goes up?
Well, you got to sell the shares before June 7th, Romaine, or else the value of them is going to go to about $100.
Oh, okay,
I'm just kidding.
I guess
it's a joke.
First I got to buy the shares.
It's a joke. I'm making a joke.
It's a joke.
We got the joke, Tim.
It's a joke.
Do you want the other gainers?
Yeah, I want the other gainers.
All right, synopsis. I'm going to
Is there a lawyer standing behind you or something, Tim? It was a good joke, and you stepped on it yourself.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
We're surrounded by glass. You never know who's peering over you, Romaine. That sometimes happens. All right, synopsis. Top gainer in the NASDAQ 100, folks. That was up 2.3%. Analyst positive. It's a chip design company, in case you didn't know. Reported second quarter results last night. Beat expectations. Raised its full year forecast. And you had a bunch of analysts, Morgan Stanley, Piper, raising their price target. So that one was up 2.3%. And Elf Beauty. I know that we talked about it a lot, I feel like, on the Bloomberg or in the Bloomberg universe today. This was up almost 19% in today's session, soaring. The company reported fourth quarter adjusted EPS per share. And net sales that came ahead of consensus estimates. It just did well. And basically, even though that there were some numbers, I think, that didn't meet expectations, analysts are generally positive, thinking that maybe they're a little conservative in their guidance.
Okay, you got the gainers, Carol.
Yeah.
I'm doing the decliners. I do want to start with Boeing. Alix, Romaine, you guys hit on it a little bit. Shares did fall by 7.6% today. The company did scrap a plan to generate cash again this year and said it will suffer another significant outflow. In this current quarter, it's fighting to get production back in order and ramp up deliveries in the wake of all the issues that the 737 MAX has had, not just this year, but of course in recent years. Also worth checking in on shares of Live Nation falling 7.8% today. The U.S. Justice Department and close to 30 states suing the company, alleging a, quote, entrenched illegal monopoly over the live events industry and seeking to force the company to sell off Ticketmaster, which it bought a few years ago. Antitrust enforcers claim that Live Nation and Ticketmaster have engaged in a variety of anti-competitive practices, including locking venues into long-term exclusive contracts and retaliating against rivals and venues that seek to use alternatives. Shares down by 7.8%. You know what's funny?
No.
This is not, I mean, look, am I speaking as a consumer or as
it's choose your own adventure here.
Okay,
Tim,
choose your own adventure. Yeah. How do you guys feel about buying tickets for a concert that you want to see? Is it a good experience?
No.
It's a pretty tough experience, right, Alix?
It's an expensive experience.
It's a very expensive experience.
And the whole idea of splitting the fees, where you go through the whole process and you think, oh, this is a $100 ticket, and then when the fees get added, you realize it's like $150, and you're like,
yeah, it's pretty
I
out
don't
of
really
control.
like this band that much.
But look, it's supply and demand, right? I mean, people will pay, especially for big acts. I mean, Billy Joel,
but
Taylor
isn't
Swift.
the bigger issue? It's less just about the cost to you and me, but it's also about, at least based on what the DOJ is alleging, let's just make that clear, that there's a sort of anti-competitive nature in the structure of the business itself by representing artists, by owning the venues, by selling the tickets, et cetera, et cetera. They're basically have this from top to bottom, the entire supply chain, if you will.
So it's a good question to consider. If the Justice Department is victorious here, will the experience actually get better for consumers?
Right, and that's
Cheaper.
sort of the whole point
Right.
of antitrust stuff. But then again, you never know. And also, Bloomberg Intelligence was saying that this could take a very long time to even suss out. So in a spinoff might not even be valuable, you might not have a forced asset sale. So this is a slow burn here. This is not going to be a quick flame out.
All right, off to Friday we go. That's a wrap.
Get those Billy Joel tickets.
I mean, we have another hour of the show, Carol. I don't know where you're going.
Well,
but,
so do we.
yeah,
I'm just saying, we're done. We're done.
This moment is done.
For good.
I'm not done. I'm staying.
There she goes. There she goes. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Our cross-platform radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. Bye, Alix. Romaine, you stay there. We'll stay there.
What?
Beyond the Bell. Oh, she stays there.
She's staying today.
Oh, you are staying
Yeah.
there.
Alix
All right.
is staying.
Beyond the
Just
Bell.
today.
We'll see you on Friday.